Hello there, friend. Welcome to the fire. This following story reminds me of that saying, a good captain listens to their crew. Local D&D Group Liberated, r/RPG horror stories, posted by Go Diego Go 133. Oh boy, I got a hell of a story that recently came to a bit of a conclusion. Major players in this story are me, my sister, and a man we'll call Jack. Now, in my senior year of high school, my sister tells me she found a local D&D group to join. I had band practice the same night, so I couldn't attend. But when I got back, she told me she had an amazing time. She brought me along to a session when I actually had an evening off, and it's what started my love of Dungeons and Dragons. Jack was the dungeon master, an ex-marine who had a wife and 2 kids. It started off great. Some of the other players I met became good friends of mine. The whole setup was nothing really special. A public D&D game where you had to pay $5 for a spot in these 3 to 4 hour sessions. The main point of paying was to drum up some extra revenue for the store owner, which he would use it on a wider selection of merchandise. I didn't really mind paying because I was having an absolute blast. The group soon got too big with new players coming in, and Jack decided to have some of the players become dungeon masters themselves to run sessions on other days. 2 in particular stuck out, a man we'll call Jesse and one we'll call Nate. Nate and Jesse soon became the main DMs, and Jack stepped back, going into some sort of manager position as he started handling the schedule. Now, the sessions had a bit of an overarching story, set in a world called Jaeger, and the group was called the Titans of Titus, with Titus being the main city. Each of the DMs was assigned a small part of Jaeger to have their own cities and to host their own sessions. Jack decided to join in on the other DM sessions as a player. Now, how leveling works is that you need a certain amount of sessions attended to level up. To get to level 2, it's 1 session. Level 3 is 3 more sessions. 4 is 4 more, and it capped out at 6 sessions per level up. And every session earned you a magic point, which you could use to purchase any magic item you wanted. Common was 2 points, uncommon 4, rare 8, very rare 16, and legendary was 32. Jack decided since he had been the original DM and had been there for almost every session without playing, he made himself a level 18 character with a legendary item. I don't think it was very fair, but decided not to say too much. I later became a DM myself in the group and decided to have a session where I took the hook from the Fallout New Vegas Old World Blues DLC. One of the players had certain parts removed from their body, and they were given debuffs and buffs due to parts of their body being taken. During the long talk with the think tank, which I changed them to Muldrons, Jack, playing a Dragonborn bard, decided to interrupt the talk and decided to try and mess with the Muldrons. I didn't plan on that because of a magic field around the area that prevented aggression. Not my best idea. We spent almost 20 minutes of Jack pushing, grabbing, and just generally acting dumb. The session ended with the group grabbing the first of 3 magic artifacts and Jack pointing out a few things he felt were played poorly, which was fair, but some of what he said was not allowing freedom to do what they wanted. A bit hypocritical, since his games were pretty much railroads, but again, I just shrugged and said I would do my best. COVID hit soon after, and after having no outlet for my tabletop gaming addiction, I was thrilled when the lockdown was lifted months later. Getting back into the shop, it felt like stepping into a whole new game. But not in a good way. The sessions began to feel forced, rushed and stressful, different from the sessions my sister and I had attended in the past. It actually affected my sister and I's mental health. We would curse each other out more than siblings should. We eventually just stopped going, not wanting to sit through stressful sessions and just getting pissed at each other. So, we pretty much cut out all contact with the group for a while. A few months later, I go to get wings from my local bar and grill. Walking out, I notice a group of people walking into a different game shop. I follow them in to browse the shelves and find Nate, 2 other friends, and about 6 other people I didn't recognize. They noticed me first, and Nate was excited to see me and dropped a good couple bombshells. 1. Jack had moved to Kansas City and was still trying to manage a game schedule in a city about 12 hours away. 2. Jack had restricted the DMs on what they could or couldn't use in their sessions, such as no giant beholders, can't use centaurs as an opposing faction, and no trading magic items between players. 3. He wanted to increase the price per session to $10 from the original $5. 4. The magic item system allowed for a very steep power vacuum between new players at level 1 and a level 18 fighter with a luck blade. Most of the DMs were ready to walk out right there, but Nate and Jesse were acting as mediators between the upset DMs and Jack. They tried to talk to Jack about everything they were unhappy with, and Jack pretty much said, "Tough shit." And so they walked. All the DMs and all but maybe 3 of the players. The store owner even went with them, pretty much wiping Jack's game from existing. They started up their own group, which basically took place in a similar setting. But Jaeger, Titus, and Jack's DM NPC were no more. This allowed total freedom for the DMs, with a whole continent to work with instead of a small state. The magic system was rehashed and now worked more like a gacha game. The points allow you to spin a wheel of sorts for a random item, allowing for more fairness than allowing a sorcerer to get a robe of the Archmagi. You could even trade and sell magic items instead of letting perfectly good +2 axes and swords go to waste. My sister and I have never been on better terms. They still charge $5, but half of that goes to the DM, which they are using to save up for a custom screen table for the group to use, and use a bit of money on food for the group. Best part, no one person is in charge. Every DM has a voice. Every player has a voice. Unfortunately, Jesse was pretty good friends with Jack before it all went down, and Jack apparently said some not so nice things before they ended their friendship. But it ends on a happy note, as Jesse is set to become a DM and I plan on joining his first session soon, just like the good old days. If anything seems out of place, some of the older stuff happened around my junior/senior year of high school, and I'm now a sophomore in college. TLDR, Local D&D Group starts off well, but goes downhill due to horrible management. The head DM gets the boot and the group is restarted with better rules and better management. A good example of how something that started off with good intentions in mind but ended up self-imploding. First off, I want to say that the idea of having a game world where multiple DMs are in charge of their own regions sounds really cool, especially when you get a chance to play at tables with different players and being able to experience different DMing styles. I really like that. But now with that out of the way, Jack creating a high-level character with a legendary item? Well, honestly, I have no problems with that. Jack did set up the organization, put together the events, and everything. So that does seem like a reasonable perk. But if he was abusing that perk and doing stuff like playing the character in low-level games with low-level players as a flex? Ugh, that's not cool. In organized play games like this, games need to be run on a level tier system. Also, never use your position to influence or intimidate other players and DMs. Once again, not cool. Also, restricting the other DMs on what they can and cannot do? This one, I'm a bit on the fence because it is Jack's event. But maybe work with the other DMs on stuff like this. Perhaps have stuff like the giant beholders or centaurs. Make it a special event that runs for a couple of months as a big story arc for all the tables. But just saying tough shit? Ugh, now that's just being a child that's taking their ball and going home. With that type of attitude, it's not surprising how things turn out. What do you all think? I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And would you kindly follow the socials posted in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.